Welcome back, everyone. I'm Mark. This is Andrew. This is the 5th video in our series about...
Might be. We're not really sure.
Yeah. This is our... I guess the videos you should have watched are backlog.
Yeah, the planning video.
Okay, maybe we start over.
Yeah. I kind of like that. Well, it might be. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay, we can.
Yeah, I think this probably is the 5th video.
Well, it's the 5th.
Yeah,
the fifth item in the progression.
Fifth item in the progression. Yep.
Yeah. I'll just say it's the 3rd document.
Actually, no, yeah, 5th video. No, just roll with it.
Okay.
I was like, I wasn't thinking.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Mark, this is Andrew, and today we're going to talk to you about the 3rd key document for your AOU Sprint team, and that is the Team Handbook. A lot of people might be confused about what specifically this is, so Andrew here is going to explain to us what is the purpose of your Team Handbook, when do you update it, how, what's in it.
Right. So Team Handbook is your ways of working as a team. It lays out very clearly what processes you use, what rhythms you have, what things you do and don't do, everything from the daily routines of, we check in at 10 a.m. over Slack, or we have a weekly review meeting at this time of day, to some of the more detailed things of, say, well, as a team, we want to make sure we respond to each other's emails within 24 hours, or as a group, we want to make sure that before we send something to a client, we get at least 2 people to give feedback on it. Anything that your team does and things that you want to stick to as your ways of working goes into the Team Handbook.
Exactly, yeah, and when is a good time to update the Team Handbook?
So the Team Handbook is primarily updated in your regular sprint routines coming out of your retrospective meetings. So in a retrospective, as we described in the other video, you come up with these actionables, things that you want to start doing, things you want to stop doing, things you want to continue doing. You take those and apply them into your Team Handbook. So to give an example that Mark mentioned in that video, if you had a team member who was kind of offline for 3 days all of a sudden, and it really hindered the work of the team overall, and there wasn't a process or any communication around that, then a new thing in your Team Handbook could be whenever somebody goes offline, make sure that you send a calendar invite in advance to the whole team for the days when you will be offline, and make sure that you have someone in place for each of your different work streams who can take up that work, and you've handed off responsibility for those days. So a simple fix to a problem that had been causing trouble before that then becomes part of this new way of working, and the primary time when that happens, really when you're up and running and doing sprints, kind of the only time that you change things is in response to those retrospectives, when you make those observations and find that you need to fix your Team Handbook in some way.
Exactly, yeah, and I really like that it seems like the handbook is a living document. Mm-hmm. Similar to all the other documents, actually, the progress tracker, the backlog, they're all meant to be continuously updated as your team changes.
Absolutely, and it varies from one team to another. So for example, in the Learning Experience Design team, we have a number of different processes that we use that are different from other teams. For example, we have a particular curriculum design process that we use that is kind of a framework for how we do design, and that can be very different from what a marketing team or a finance team might use for their processes. So it's helpful to have this document that really lays out what are all the terms that we're using, what are all the forms that we use, what are all the types of meetings that we have, so that when somebody joins your team, when you're onboarding somebody, it's all there in one convenient place, and it's a living and updated document. It's not something that may have been created 2 years ago but hasn't been updated since then. So it's useful to have that one place, because at AOU there's lots of different terms and lots of different phrases, and that varies a lot from team to team. So it's very helpful to have a team specific handbook. It's kind of your own approach to ways of working that probably shares some similarities with other teams, but also has some unique differences.
Yeah, and one question I get sometimes is if you're starting your new agile team, like some people kind of fret a lot about like how do they make an awesome team handbook from the very beginning. My recommended approach is just to use the standard almost blank template that we have, and then as your team is working at each retrospective, you're making observations. I would suggest only adding items then in direct response to problems your team is actually facing, rather than just guessing about things that might be effective.
Right.
So I would actually discourage you from just putting in processes because you think that they might be good.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool if you are mainly putting in processes in response to frustrations, because then for every single item in your team handbook, if anyone asks you why is that there, you can actually pull up your notes from the last retrospective and say like there's specific incidents that motivated this.
Right.
And you could actually have a team handbook that like 0% of it is like irrelevant. Yeah, exactly.
It's all
of
very
it.
useful.
Yeah, and as soon as it's not useful, you can go back to the retrospective and put that in the stop column and scratch it.
Exactly.
So using this process, you're actually going to create a 100% evidence-based handbook.
Right. Pretty
so,
cool.
Yeah, you have reasons behind literally everything you're doing on a team.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. And as Mark mentioned, we have a template that we've put together as just a very basic team handbook. It has basic descriptions in there of what's a sprint, what's a card, how do these different meetings work. But that is yours to build from, to customize, to make changes to based on what you observe as needs within your team as you're doing your sprint process.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that covers it. Best of luck with your team handbook, and we'll see you in the next video about postmortems.
Yep. Thanks, guys.